So with Shrouded in Sanity, what came first, the game concept or the story?
It's Jam could talk about this for hours because basically I'm crazy. I go all over the place. The reason why I love making games and why I want to make games as much as possible for as long as possible, as many games as possible, because I have a million concepts. But I go all over the place, and that's why I love making games. Because if I'm bored of drawing, then I can just code. If I'm bored of coding, I can work on the sound. I can work on the levels. I can create new objects for the systems. I can do anything else. So that's why I love it, because it's a very versatile field.
Yeah, definitely. You should see our previous conversations, because we've been talking to each other for years. Go backwards and forwards talking about quick games and whatnot. And it's interesting listening to Steve, because he has so many ideas all the time that they just keep on coming. And I'll come back to Discord after an hour away from my computer, and there'll be a massive wall of text for me to read when I get back.
I'm guilty of that.
Yeah, no, that's basically how Arlian operates. Is I'll leave for 30 minutes and come back and 20 million ideas on the screen.
Yeah, and I'll have planned out so many different things and written out and even started them and been okay, and we need to talk to this guy and also here and this, and you're just why did you also send them each as a separate sentence?
Yeah, but I can call Steve out on that quite badly. Yeah.
Oh, he does it too.
Oh, he's terrible.
I think
really
this
bad.
Actually explains why we get along so well.
I'm horrible at that. No, it's fine. I'm horrible at that.
No, that's cool. It makes me feel better about doing it. I feel vindicated for that habit.
Okay.
I mean, Sean's probably God, no, this didn't need to happen.
I feel for you, Sean. I really do.
So it all kind of just comes together
organically, I suppose would be
organically.
Definitely. I think. I mean, although I don't have anything really to do with the game development itself, Ist and I talk, every day. We were on Discord talking to each other about new concepts for the game, or things I could change, or upcoming ideas. And it's something that I've watched, Steve do for the last, how many years? 3?
2?
Not sure.
Maybe.
2, 3.
The actual game, yeah.
Yeah, so it's definitely been a natural process from start to finish, really.
He undercuts his part because I really need to bounce off things on someone. And my wife, I can't do that because that's not very subjective, as well as she doesn't have the time for it. But yeah, Jam undercuts his part. I think he doesn't understand how important his part is, because if I tell him, who doesn't play as many games as I have, but if I tell him, he gets me a perspective that I wouldn't get otherwise,
Right.
And he points out, he notices things and he points out things, and that is really, really helpful, because like you said with Shrouded in Sanity, he has a really hard time playing it because it's too hard for him.
Yeah, I'm
sorry, but that helps me because I can understand why it's hard, and I get the perspective and what he can still get out. A player who is still having a hard time with it, what they can get out of it. And I have bad ideas. Sometimes I have ideas that are very harmful for any player, but I will be like, yeah, but I want to do this, and he will stop me. He will stop me from doing something terrible.
Okay, you know what? Give me an example of things you had planned.
Okay, well, I'm a sadist, and
here we go.
Well, not as much as it looks like from Shrouded in
Also,
Sanity.
from what I can gather, a masochist, since you also built this as stuff you wanted to have happen to you in a game.
Yeah, yeah, that's the thing. So
I mean, he put spikes wherever he knows he'll hit them, he'll run into them.
Yeah, exactly. So spikes are placed.
Every opportunity, I've hit a spike.
Because spikes are placed.
Friggin' the crypt stairwell.
When I drew like the first room, well, the second room north of the spawn room, right under the botanic garden. There's a crossroad there, and the spike is placed in the exact middle of it. And that's only because I know for a fact that players will stick to the road if there's one put down, Players, almost all of them, will use the road, and they will walk to the center of the crossroad and get hit by the spike. I know it's evil. I know it sounds terribly evil, but that was part of the reason that why would you place a trap in a place where nobody would walk on it?
Right. No, that it's evil, but it also makes sense from a game developer standpoint. You want somebody to hit. You're putting a trap there because you want it to be triggered.
Well, I mean, also, here's the other thing. It is very much an awareness thing, because if players go on autopilot and stop being aware of the world around them and just sort of rush from area to area, they proceed to set off countless spikes. I'm in, like, the south bedroom, and there's a set of spikes in front of the bed, which if you run over to go and observe, like, the examination point, you're pretty likely to get to, and there's another set of spikes that just is neatly in line with the door, so if you run from, like, into that room and then go to open the door, you set off these traps.
One thing that I couldn't actually execute, that is a thing that what I wanted, is that the enemies would have followed you through the rooms.
Oh god,
that's one
that
thing.
Awful.
Was that not implemented just because it wasn't?
It wasn't technically viable because it caused a lot of issues. Like, I pulled it off somehow with the code, but for no reason whatever, and I have to blame the engine on this because I'm 100% convinced that it wasn't the coding, because I implemented it in multiple ways, but enemies kept showing up and didn't move to the proper position. So enemies started, as you move to another room, there was a timer, so they didn't instantly get, you go through a door and then it's like 6 enemies hacking at you and you're dead. They would have had timers based on their distance from the door when you went through it. And they kept popping into the room, but they kept popping into the walls, despite I specifically telling them where they actually have to go, and
so
it was definitely the engine.
So they were just phasing in instead of actually entering through the door.
Yeah, the thing is, I'm definitely 100% that it was the engine, because on room change, the engine has a little bit of a hard time because of how I set up the graphics. So there was a loading issue probably, that it made them load in, but it didn't fully execute all of their codes, because up to 10 enemies could have gone through the door with you. So it caused a lot of issues, and I was pretty sad about that, because that made it a very different game. You could not just, I'm just casually running through room and room and room, and
Yeah, no, I did that a lot.
That would have been interesting to see if you could have aggro trained every single enemy in, like,
no, there was an upper limit on it. I'm not a complete lunatic. There was an upper limit of 10 enemies per, that can come through a door.
If you could, you would have done that, wouldn't you?
Otherwise, super tempted.
I think I would have crashed my game if that was the case.
Nah, it wouldn't have crashed. I tested. When it was still open world, I had to test it, and it's the same engine we're speaking of. And I could have put, I think, 300 enemies in the room at the same time, and there was no issue.
Well, that's true,
was not
actually, yeah. Yeah,
Nice.
We did test that. Well, he did, obviously, not me.
Have fun with that, 300 enemies, but it could have handled it. It wasn't that wasn't the issue. It was something that the engine had little trouble with, but yeah.
So is that still something? Is that something you want to try to implement in Usurper, or?
No, because it's a Metroidvania and it will work differently how the room respawns are handled.
Okay.
There's differences.
That should also work differently, because like part of the Metroidvania thing is like you're not just fighting enemies, you're also frequently fighting how the enemy interacts with the room.
Yeah, it's gonna work differently, but yeah, that was one thing that I wanted to avoid players do, because if you want to run to the boss, that's fine, but don't get surprised.
Oh, and that would make the shortcuts way more important too.
Yes, more important, exactly.
Man, I am so puny. So weird.
What are you doing this as a no rank run?
Yes.
Oh god.
I mean, I'm still killing all the butlers just to get rid of them. But
well, yeah, that's one good way of doing it.
yeah, I mean, and I'm still like getting ETH stones because I'm like gotta hoard them while they're cheap.
So, well, since we're talking about the ranking and stuff, what was you mentioned originally you didn't have a stat system
Yeah.
implemented. What brought that about?
Well, basically, popular demand, to be honest, because when it came out in early access, first there was very, very limited leveling added to it to like supplement some kind of progress in it to
Okay.
help the players get a bit stronger. But people then started to ask, oh, I want to level damage, I want to level this, I want to level that. And I was like, all right, I added it. That's the thing. That was my first experience with early access. It was only a month, but the game changed drastically from it.
Yeah.
And I'm not joking. I don't have a build because I don't want to linger on the past, but it played very differently. Maybe if you look up at the demo videos, because there's a few about the first alpha demo.
I saw
that worked very different.
Ton of enemies in like one of those videos, like
but
metric ton.
Okay, that's not correct though, because that was a demo, and I intentionally put in enemies where they wouldn't be in the final game. As in to try and get people to get through them.
Weren't they?
Yeah. It was to make sure that all the enemies function properly and all that. To people can try them out.
Basically, kind of like stress testing in a way, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh god. I'm at Saragat. Why did I do this to myself?